What's up, sports bettors? Alex here, and let's make some money. So I have 6 picks to win $4,375. So 6 picks for Saturday. So let's just go ahead, let's get into them. And I say this all the time, but what makes PrizePicks a really interesting platform is there's no odds on PrizePicks, right? If you look at most sports books, like here you can see FanDuel, you see a bunch of odds, right? You see the Nuggets are minus 270 favorites against the Jazz. But what's unique about PrizePicks is there's no odds on this platform, right? PrizePicks is a fixed payout platform. Any 2 picks you select, so any 2-pick entry you create on PrizePicks, you're always getting a 3x payout. Right? It doesn't matter if we take overs, it doesn't matter if we take unders, we're always getting a 3x payout for any 2-pick power play on PrizePicks. So I've broken down the math before, but with a 6-pick flex, essentially the way to beat PrizePicks long term is pretty simple, right? They're not varying your payouts based on you selecting over or under. So the way you beat them is just by winning your over-unders at the highest possible rate. Right? You want to win your over-unders at the highest possible rate. So I've explained this before, but in a 6-pick flex, which is optimal on PrizePicks you should always be playing 5 or 6-pick flexes. But in a 6-pick flex, for example, let's just imagine you're winning 53% of your picks. So let's say you can select your over-unders 53% of the time correctly. 47% of the time you're wrong. So if you're hitting your picks at a rate of 53% in a 6 flex, your ROI is going to be negative still. So even if you're winning your plays 53% of the time, your ROI is still a negative 10.5% for a 6-pick flex. And I'll include this spreadsheet in the description on YouTube. So obviously, you got to be winning your picks over 53% of the time on PrizePicks. So let's say you're winning your picks 56% of the time. Well, if you're winning your picks so if you can select over-unders correctly, 56% of the time, you're winning 56% of your picks, you're losing 44% of your picks, your ROI is going to be really high, 17.6%. Right? So it makes a massive difference, just these small changes in probability, right? If you're winning 53% of the time, all of your picks, if you're hitting your picks 53% of the time, you're at a negative 11% ROI playing 6 flexes on PrizePicks, right? Whereas if you're winning, 56% of the time, again, now you're in the green big time. Your ROI is 17.6%. So literally, this is the only number that matters. All you care about when you're betting on PrizePicks is what is the win probability for each of my picks, right? You want to be looking for picks that are hitting over 54.2% of the time. So if you're winning your picks over 54.2% of the time, you're going to be profitable on PrizePicks long term. So if you're hitting your picks 55% of the time, you're losing 45% of your picks, your ROI will be 7.5%. But anyways, so that's basically how PrizePicks works, and basically the strategy to beating them is pretty simple. You want to find plays with value, right? You want to find spots where PrizePicks is screwing up. So I'll show you an example of a few of these picks. One of the first ones I went with is right here. So you can see it's a tennis match. So this tool is called the OddsJam Odds Screen. So you go to Screen, Odds Screen, and then I'm just on tennis total games, but you can obviously look at any market you want. You can look at any market you want. You just click this little drop down. You can also look at any league, any sport you want. So you can see right here on PrizePicks, they're setting this line. So I should actually zoom in a bit. So let me do that. So if I zoom in a bit, you can see right here, PrizePicks is setting the line at 22. Right? BetRivers and FanDuel have this line at 21.5 total games. So all the sports books, right? We have numerous data points out there telling us this line should be set at 21.5. PrizePicks is at 22, right? So this is a line discrepancy. You can see here, there's no value in the market. All the books are setting the line at 21.5. There's no major discrepancies in the odds, so there's no value on PrizePicks, right? We don't want to take this. Why would we take this? All the books are also telling us this line should be at 21.5. So we don't want to touch this tennis match with a 10-foot pole, right? So, whereas if we go back to this play, you can see PrizePicks has the line at 22. BetRivers, FanDuel have the line at 21.5, so they're lower, right? They're lower. So I ended up taking the under for this tennis match. And again, the purpose of these videos is obviously, to give you guys profitable picks that you can tail, but it's also to explain how to beat PrizePicks long term, right? If I go away, if I die, hopefully you guys have learned something so you can find sharp picks on PrizePicks. But anyways, so this tool is called the Screen, and you can use it to browse any league, any market you want. And basically, I'm just looking for where does PrizePicks set the line differently than all the sports books, right? I want to see big discrepancies. And here we can see PrizePicks has the line at 22. And then if we kind of scroll along, again, all sportsbooks set lines uniquely, right? They all want to be unique. They all set lines independently. As you can see, every data point, every sportsbook has the line at 21.5 with basically no juice towards the under, right? So PrizePicks is too high. They're at 22. Every book is at 21.5. We want to take the under on PrizePicks. So that's the first play I went with. So there's a bunch of tools, again, that you can use on OddsJam to find value, to find an edge. This tool I'm looking at is called the Odds Screen, right? So this tool is just called, the OddsJam Odds Screen, which you can see right here. So basically with this tool, I'm looking for where does the line differ, right? Where does PrizePicks' line differ than the sports books? So here I'm not even considering the price, the odds as much. I'm more like, hey, wow, PrizePicks has the line at 22. All the books are at 21.5 without much juice. We want to take the under. But anyways, this play was pretty good, but not as strong as some of the other ones I'm going to show you, which are pretty incredible. So the second play I went with is right here. So this is the tool I probably use most on OddsJam. It's called the Positive EV, the Positive Expected Value Betting Tool, the Positive EV Betting Tool. And basically the way it works is it just pulls in lines from all the sports books as well as PrizePicks, right? So it's reading in tens of thousands of odds from PrizePicks every single second, pulling in all this data, right? And then it's going to FanDuel, it's pulling in all these odds. You go to MLB, I mean, literally FanDuel has so much data on their site and they're setting their lines independently, right? So OddsJam is pulling in all this data just to try to show you spots where you're getting value on PrizePicks, right? So we said earlier, your goal on PrizePicks is quite simple. If you want to win at 6 flexes long term, you just need to find picks that are winning over 54.21% of the time. If you do that, you're going to beat PrizePicks long term. There is nothing more to it. You just need to find plays that are winning over 54.21% of the time. So if we look at this, game, Luca Nardi versus Constant Lestinine, I don't know anything about these players, but what you're going to notice is all the sportsbooks have the under 22.5 games as the heavily favored outcome, right? Bet Online, a really sharp offshore sportsbook, they have the under as the heavy favorite, juiced to minus 134. Pinnacle, the sharpest sportsbook in the world, they have the under even more favored at minus 140. WinBet also has the under favored. So there's not a ton of sportsbooks, just a few sportsbooks posting odds for this tennis match, but you can see they all have the under heavily favored, right? And we put the most weight in Pinnacle's odds as well as Bet Online because these are known to be two of the smartest, the sharpest sportsbooks. They take the most amount of bets, the highest betting volume, so their markets are most indicative of the true win probability for a bet, right? So you can see we have 1, 2, 3, right? This penny column is just a duplicate of the Pinnacle column. So you can see we have 3 sports books. They're all saying the same thing. The under 22.5 total games should be heavily favored in this tennis match. So this is a great play to include in our PrizePicks entry, right? This play right here, taking the under. So this is the second play I guess I went with, as well as this play right here from the EV tool. So this is your profit margin. So 1% is pretty good if you think about it, right? This tennis match, I'm filming this video at 1:30 in the morning. This tennis match starts in 5 hours. It'll be over in roughly 8 hours. We're earning a 1% return in 8 hours. Not bad, right? Like I say this all the time, but if you can earn a 3%, ROI on your bets, then in a month, because games are every single day, right? In sports betting, these returns, so this percent column just means profit margin, ROI, edge. There's a bunch of different terms for this percent column. Your profit margin, your edge, your ROI, however you want to think about it. But long story short is what's crazy about sports betting is these returns are daily, right? People talk about the stock market going up 8% a year. I'm earning 1% in a tennis bet that's going to be over in like 8 hours, right? This tennis match is going to be over in roughly 8 hours. 8% a year or 1% in 8 hours. So obviously, you'd rather have a 1% return in 8 hours as opposed to an 8% return in a year, right? I say it all the time, but even if you just had a 1% profit margin betting on the MLB, there's 162 games in the regular season. So if you're betting on the MLB with a 1% edge, your ROI over the course of the season is going to be 162%. There's 162 games in the regular season, right? This is just logic. This is just math. So here, right, the reason we like this is the sharpest sports books, right? You're not smarter than the market. I'm not smarter. Pinnacle is the sharpest bookmaker in the world. They're taking bets from all around the world. They have the fastest data feeds. They have hundreds of traders. They've invested millions of dollars in their ability to set lines, right? Same with Bet Online. And all these sports books are saying the exact same thing, that this under should be heavily favored, right? Just kind of like if you look at FanDuel, if we go to the NBA tomorrow, the Nuggets are favorites, right? They're minus 270. Sportsbooks are telling us through their odds that the Nuggets are a heavy favorite to win this game. They're minus 270 odds. So obviously, this line isn't as juiced as minus 270, but the same concept applies. The under is the favored outcome, right? And if the under is the favored outcome, it's going to be winning over 50% of the time, maybe not 54.2%, but that's what we're going to figure out here in a second. So what we can do, and this is a new tool called the Fantasy Screen. It's currently in beta mode. It's free to use. So I'll include a link to it in the description, but the OddsJam Fantasy Screen, 100% free to use currently. It's in beta mode. We're testing it. We're adding features, all different types of books on there. Thrive Fantasy, Jock Market. You know, you should get all these books. I say it all the time, but if you just have Underdog Fantasy, you're missing out on these profitable plays on PrizePicks. All these books, they set lines independently, so you want to have as many sports books as possible as a sharp bettor, right? But long story short, what the Fantasy Screen shows you is pretty simple. It just shows you the plays that are most likely to win, right? Like we just talked about, that's all you care about on PrizePicks is your plays winning over 54.2% of the time. That's all you care about on PrizePicks, right? And then if you check this tool, all it's going to show you is plays that are winning over 54.2% of the time. So you only want to play the picks in green. The yellow means, you know, they're kind of marginal. You probably don't want to include them. And then red means you don't want to include them, right? They may get good in a bit with line movement, but currently they're not profitable plays on PrizePicks, right? You need to beat that 54.21% to be profitable in a 5 or a 6 flex, right? So here, all the sportsbooks have the under heavily favored, but we can quantify that, right? So if you go ahead and you put in Bet Online's market, they have the over at plus 114. They have the under as the favorite outcome at minus 134. So this calculator, no vig odds calculator, this is the most important calculator in sports betting, right? It literally reverse engineers a sports book. What a sports book does is it has models, right? Bet Online has invested millions, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars in their ability to set lines, move around lines due to supply and demand. So if all the sharps start hammering the under, lines are going to move more in favor of the under. Just like if everyone starts buying a stock, there's more demand than supply, the price of the stock goes up. It's no different here, right? Sportsbooks, you know, they're constantly updating their models based on supply and demand. If all the sharp syndicates start hammering the Jazz at plus 220, sportsbooks are going to be like, oh, we should move the odds on the Jazz down, right, to maybe plus 180, something like that. So you can see here, you know, Bet Online, a really sophisticated sports book, they're telling you the under is 55.07% to win. So if you put that in here, according to Bet Online, this play has an 8.2% profit margin in a 5 flex, or a 6 flex, I apologize. So again, this calculator, it just takes the sportsbook's market and tells you, hey, based on the fact that they have the under juiced all the way to minus 134, and they have the over at plus 114, the under is 55.07% to win according to Bet Online's model. and the over is 44.93%, right? The over in this case is the underdog outcome, right? So this is an industry standard formula, no vague fair odds calculator, converting sportsbook odds into no vague fair win percentages. You just need to read this, internalize it, understand it. Every sharp bettor understands it. Every profitable sports bettor understands it. So you need to go through, read this, and really understand it, right? But what you're going to notice is you're going to be like, hey, Pinnacle, you said, was the sharpest sportsbook, the smartest sportsbook. Why don't you use their odds? And we can be like, okay, let's use Pinnacle odds. And again, you're going to notice Pinnacle, they have the under more favored, right, more juiced than BetOnline. Pinnacle has the under all the way down at minus 140, so there's more juice towards the under, right? So Pinnacle, right, their model is telling us that compared to BetOnline, the under is more likely to hit, right? Pinnacle, through their odds, are telling us that the under for this tennis match is more likely to occur than the over, and they're telling us they think that the under is more likely than BetOnline thinks, right? So we can quantify that. So if we put in Pinnacle's market, plus 115, minus 140, you're going to see this 55.07% moves up to 55.64% right here, right? So if you put in Pinnacle's percentage, you're going to see, what a surprise, this play's still really profitable in a 6 flex, right? 13.9%, right, would be the profit margin according to Pinnacle. So again, the fantasy screen is similar to the EV tool, currently free to use in beta mode. You just literally go to screen and then fantasy screen, it's free to use. And what you can do is it's just going to show you the plays that are winning at the highest possible rate, right? So you can also just use this tool. The EV tool is a little more in-depth. It's a little more cautious as well. So the EV tool, for example, will require that there's a minimum number of sportsbooks posting odds to show you a play. So here you can see you have BetOnline, Pinnacle, and WinBet. They're all posting odds on the over-under, right? And they're all saying the same thing. WinBet, Pinnacle, BetOnline, they're all telling us the under is the heavily favored outcome, right? They're all telling us the same thing. The under for this tennis match is a lot more likely to occur than the over, around, 55.64% according to Pinnacle, a little less so according to BetOnline. But the sharpest sportsbooks in the world, BetOnline and Pinnacle, they're both telling us the under is a lot more likely than the over, right? So we have numerous data points. Whereas here, for this Taro Daniel versus Otto Veritin, there's no BetOnline. It's only Pinnacle currently posting odds, and they have the under really heavily favored, right? So they have the over in this case. So in this case, for this tennis match, Taro Daniel versus Otto Veritin, they have the over favored to minus 140. So it's kind of like this in reverse. So there they have the over favored, right? But there's no BetOnline, right? There's no BetOnline posting odds. So long story short, let's just get into my plays. So I have 5 tennis picks and then 1 NHL pick. I'm not even going to bother trying to read. All these plays are either from the EV tool, they're from the odds screen that we went through first, or they're from the fantasy screen right here. So you can see Philip Cheadle under 2.5 shots on goal. DraftKings has it at minus 140. Pinnacle has it at minus 139. So both sportsbooks are aligned. The 2 first sportsbooks that have posted NHL player props for Saturday are both saying the same thing, that the under should be heavily favored, right? So this is a great play to include in our PrizePicks flex. So here's my entry again. Please just take a screenshot. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce these names. I'm following the data, looking for value, looking for an edge. Let me know any questions, anything I can help with. I'll put my email in the description.